Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Auburn Wind Turbine and Alternative Energy Committee on Monday, October 26th. It is now called to order at approximately 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcasted by local access programming. And since there is no one here from the Town of Auburn, it's not being recorded by anybody else. So with that, the first item on our agenda for this evening is the status of the committee name change. So Eric, can you give us an update?
I can. I forwarded Town Manager Julie Jacobs, I forwarded her the letter that was drafted by Maureen requesting the name change. And her response is that the committee was established by town meeting. This was in October 2008. And it was established with this name. She was given by charter the power to create and revise committees, so she said that it's fine to refer to it as the Energy Committee, but that its official name would remain Wind Turbine Alternative and Renewable Energy Committee. So she said we can call it Energy Committee moving forward.
But officially, it's still...
Yeah.
So in regards to meeting minutes, agendas, all of those items, it will be under that wind turbine, I'd assume.
I think we'll go with Energy Committee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then on the town charter, it will remain the longer name. Yes.
We can't even come up with a good acronym
No,
No.
yeah, not,
No, it just
not
doesn't
enough
work.
vowels for me about. Excellent.
for that.
Yes.
Some catchy.
Great, so starting with the October 26th meeting minutes, we'll rebrand it as the Energy Committee and move forward with that name.
Yes.
Great, thank
And
you.
post the agendas under that name and,
Excellent. All right, our second discussion item, Colonial Power came here tonight to share with us the status of the municipal aggregation effort and some discussion on community outreach.
That's right. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. It's a pleasure, as always, to come back to Auburn. So you may have heard that the town selected a supplier and a price, and they're buttoning up the terms and conditions of the contract, and Julie should have that done within a couple of days. But it was a couple of weeks ago, Colonial Power took the town's load out to bid and solicited pricing from a number of competitive suppliers. During the course of the afternoon, it became clear that the best price for both the term sought, which was a 1-year fixed price, and the content sought, which was to have 100% of the energy covered by renewable energy credits from American wind installations. The winning bidder was Constellation, which is an enormous conglomerate power supplier based all over the country. But they have a very active presence here in New England, and I do believe one of their affiliates is the supplier for the town's municipal facilities. And we've done work with them in previous communities, Lancaster being one example. So we know that we know they'll do a good job. So now comes the important part from the point of view of the citizens. And so I took the liberty of creating a little packet that has some information in it for you. This is preview stuff, all right? This is not official.
It's not official.
Yeah, these are drafts. On one side, you have a chart. This is not something that's going to go to residents, but this is just something for your edification only, to give you an idea of where utility prices are currently. And where some other aggregations are relative to Auburn. And all these other towns have different start dates, so it's not always an apples to apples comparison. But you can see down near the bottom where Auburn's listed. Auburn has, of the aggregations on this list anyway, the lowest rate right now. All right, so great job to everybody. Perfect timing. You know, the market kind of sold off, but National Grid unfortunately had to lock in 13 cents for everybody, so there was an opportunity to create some significant savings for this winter period, as well as to sort of green up every customer.
Do we have any idea of what, if we didn't go 100% green energy? What, I mean, how much difference is there in the rate?
It wasn't much. It was maybe 0.3 penny.
No.
You know, I mean, we're talking,
Oh, okay. Minuscule.
yeah, minuscule, not even, you know, $1 or $2 a month for the average
Oh, okay.
customer. So it was really a great opportunity for almost no
Oh, yeah.
pain to do something really good.
Absolutely.
And as you look at that chart, if other questions pop out, please feel free.
Now, does that do anything as far as our credits on the other side, the green community, or anything?
I wish it did.
Yeah.
It's something that in our annual report, I will mention that we, you know, as a town that we have sought this out, that we have a municipal aggregation plan in place, that we're using full, you know, a fully green profile. But it's not a requirement for green communities. Of course, the state likes to see every effort taken on a town's behalf. So it's, you know, it's definitely a positive in our
Okay.
favor.
Yeah, when that green communities statute was written, and I think Eric makes a good point, that it was to encourage the things that are specifically delineated in the statute and regulations for communities to go green. But aggregation was not, at that time, it was 2008 when the law was passed, aggregation wasn't that viable. There was only the Cape Light Compact and the city of Marlborough at the time. So I think if they were to look at what's going on with aggregation now and look at their goals for green communities, they might sort of
Yeah.
blend
I didn't know
both of
if
those
we had
things.
any kind of attaboys, you know.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Grant money or fit down the road.
You know,
So,
Can get some, a squeaky wheel can get some recognition. I know the city, I don't know if it's a city or town, city of Melrose is also aggregating, and they're doing, you know, they have their other green community initiatives on their own, but they're also doing something similar. And their energy manager, you know, got some recognition at the state level by the Department of Energy Resources and the Lieutenant Governor. So it was a little photo op and it's and the attaboy, you know, so it's doable.
not a person,
And, yeah.
politically correct.
All right, so I've got mock-ups here of what the main piece of communication is going to look like that goes to every homeowner and business owner who currently receives basic service from National Grid. They're not in any particular order, but here's, you know, the first one is this one here. This is basically the outside of the envelope. All right, per DPU regulation, we are, you know, required, we do this on your behalf. You could take control of the mailing if you wanted to, but it's easier to just outsource it because we have all the customer data. The DPU wants this to at least, you know, appear as close as possible to being, as coming from the town. You know, even though we're handling the mailing on your behalf, this is really, and we've said this many times, this is a town program, you guys own this, we're merely your conduit. So, you know, that's why it says official town business, it has the town seal. But please note that the return address is courtesy of the supplier. Okay, so if for some reason the mail has to go back, it goes back to the supplier so they know there was an issue, like the address didn't match
Right.
the National Grid bill or something like that. If they came to the town, they would just pile up at town hall and nobody would know what to do with these
Right.
things. Sometimes we have them come back to us, but in this case, Constellation's a very good supplier, so we felt comfortable putting their return address on the outside of the envelope. The main thing is the letter. This is a 2-page letter, it'll be front and back. Again, with the town seal on it, describing in very, very boring language the town's program. And again, this is something that could be jazzed up and made more market-friendly, but this is a document that needed to be reviewed by the Department of Public Utilities, and they have very specific requirements about what information should be in there. And, you know, to get fancy with, you know, lots of graphics or something like that, just, they don't want to see that. This is strictly business, and they want to, you know, get to the point. So it gives the consumer all the basic information they need compares the rates apples to apples. What are the current National Grid rates? What are the current town rates? And the parameters about the term length. So you can see in the main thing that we hope will draw people's attention is the chart at the bottom of page 1. That in the middle of the first row there, you see the town's new rate that'll begin on December, with the December meter read for the supply services portion of the bill, just over 9.5 cents. And it compares quite favorably to the soon-to-be-in-place National Grid rates, which will last only from November through the end of April. So the town has a 1-year fix, National Grid's are 6-month fix. We don't know what will happen to National Grid in the summer. At the Board of Selectmen's meeting, Ms. Jacobson mentioned that they'll probably go down significantly, and they may even go down below this rate, but not that far. So the amount you save, the consumer saves in the wintertime, will be not completely offset by whatever they sort of lose in the season. And again, no penalty to exit ever. If a consumer wants out next spring, or if they find another supplier that offers them a better deal, they can always call and cancel.
Is there any flexibility you have in this communication here? Or does this have to be standard?
This is very standard,
Very
in that the consumer division at the Department of Public Utilities, they like to see the same thing. We put
For
it before
everybody.
every town. They're like, all right. So every town basically has the same essential information. Yeah, there's a lot a graphic designer could do with this thing, but it is what it is. And then on the back, there's lots of answers to what we would call FAQs. Yes, sir.
Question. If you have already chosen a competitive supplier on your own, you must opt out of this program. Initially, I was led to understand that if you had an alternate supplier, you would not be sent this letter.
That's true. That's a good point. Sometimes there's a lag time between when National Grid gives us the addresses of everybody and when the letter finally gets home. They may have made a choice in the interim, and we learned this the hard way because we thought, the data was the data. So, we've already got the addresses from National Grid, but by the time it hits home, somebody could be making a decision tonight. And that's what we needed to put this in there just for them. Okay.
Now, I have Constellation now,
Yeah.
but I have an opt-out, a penalty to opt out.
Right.
Whereas this is now gonna go to Constellation. I mean, would you know, would I be able to opt out of the one I have and go into this one?
Probably, but again, the Constellation could choose to enforce the terms of their
Okay,
contract.
I mean, I would not, I would not pay I'd stay with the old one until
Until
the
it
time was
expired,
up,
yeah.
But okay.
It's worth a call. The thing about a company like Constellation, because they're so big, they have, it's like an octopus of affiliates. The particular division that serves you might not be the same one that's doing the town. So you could get lost on hold there for some time trying to find the right person to take care of you. So again, lots of answers to the FAQs here and instructions on how to opt out. Some of the phone numbers here, again, this is eyes-only stuff. The numbers may change. Web addresses probably won't, especially ours, but we want to make sure that this committee was fully informed, having been spearheaded this initiative so long ago. I want to give you guys drafts to take a look at.
Is it possible to add to the FAQs and thinking something that might resonate with the residents, an example? So it would be easier to put it on that first page there, just in that chart, but, I'm just thinking for someone to read the kilowatt hours, if you put it in the context of if your average bill is X based upon National Grid's rates, here's what you can expect if you're part of the program. Do you have the ability to add that to the FAQs, or?
Honestly, this letter's pretty tight. Right?
Okay.
We don't have space.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea for further communication, and it's something I want to solicit your input on, is what can we do next when this letter does hit home? Where can I be? How can I assist the citizens in understanding and answering that very same question? The last piece, and again, you're getting front and back here, is the opt-out reply card. So that's these two sheets.
Should be.
Yeah, so it'd be like sort of front to back like that. Again, no postage necessary, and this will be on cardstock. On the back side, every customer will have their own unique code, so it's read by a scanner. And again, these dummy addresses there, are paying attention to those, but the customer needs to sign and date if they want to opt out. And then they drop it in the mail, and it goes again to Constellation's headquarters down in Houston, so that they can remove them from the list and not enroll them.
It looks as though there's also a web link to opt out as well.
Yes. Yeah, on the letter, there is a web link. You can go to Colonial Power Group's webpage. There's a drop-down menu for all of our client communities. Auburn will be probably at the top of the list, given it's alphabetized. And then there's a big button that says opt out. And then the consumer just has to fill in his or her name and account number and a couple other pieces of information so we know it's really them. And then that will go automatically to the
Much simpler, it really does. Because you don't have to know anything.
Yeah,
All
you
you have to
don't.
do is sign your name and date it.
Yeah, and then put it right back in your mailbox.
Otherwise, you have to go looking for your account number.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeff.
That's true, you do have to have your bill handy if you want to opt out or opt in, but here, yeah.
In case, somebody might lose this.
And phone calls work too. If people aren't comfortable accessing the internet or initially have questions or just want to talk to somebody and get out of the program over the phone, that's perfectly fine as well.
So can you speak to next steps, what the residents can anticipate?
Yes, and that's actually, I really wanted to ask your input here. One of the typical things we do is we go to senior centers, and there's a good reason for that. Most of our inquiries that are inbound on the phone come from consumers, mostly senior citizens who have questions because, the typical conversation goes something like this: I've been with Mass Electric my whole life. What's going on here? And, despite your best efforts to get the word out, despite being on TV at the Board of Selectmen, information never permeates to every citizen the way you want it to. So that's usually a great first step because people have questions. And, if they're on a fixed income, this is really important news. The electric bill and other utilities form a crucial piece of that monthly budget. And if something's changing, they need to know and have some questions answered. So that's a typical piece of outreach that we do, and one I would be happy to do. Again with your blessing. And if there's other avenues, we're happy to provide information. I know you have social media accounts run by the town. Those will be good places for duplicates or other versions of this type of information to be posted. And
We've got the website.
Yeah.
So.
the thing I've said publicly is, other than, if I come to the senior center, this is probably what I'm going to look like. No one's going to be walking the streets of Auburn talking about this. And customers that get approached by somebody going door to door, it ain't the town program. And it's important that they know that if somebody's misrepresenting themselves and trying to sell energy, they're certainly not from the town if they're coming to
Because I
the
think there was a solar, or a couple
Yeah.
solar companies or something doing that
Yeah.
recently.
And I think, I remember someone did mention that one time I was
One
in.
was legit, I think.
Yeah, and that's okay, if they're
And
selling
the
solar
other
stuff.
one was, I don't know who they were just solar companies.
That's when the, something interesting is happening. When there's street teams out there going door to door,
Yeah.
that's some,
Yeah.
it can be a really good thing or a really bad thing, but it means there's a market opportunity and the sharks are out in the water,
Yeah, that's certainly.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that the rates, well, you mentioned that National Grid's rate in the spring would probably be low, could be lower than this. Is it better to go out to bid at that time than it is in the fall?
There is no magic time. One of the things that, if we had carte blanche or tabula rasa, call it what you want, for the town, how we would design an ideal program, once this program has maturity, if you will, is to do what we call portfolio management, which is never limiting yourself to your space in the market. You know, for this particular initiation of the program, it was appropriate to take a 1-year fixed rate, get it all hedged, in other words, and lock it down. And we do advise clients that are doing this for the first time to do that. But once the town gets more comfortable with this idea, then the next step is to do what municipal light companies like Shrewsbury and Holden and West Boylston, Sterling do. And that's to always be in the market, always be buying, always be looking for the opportunity, to never be fully hedged, if you will. And in that case, if something happened in the spring and we saw an opportunity where the curve dipped below where the price was where you bought, we could say, hey, let's buy a little more and push the end date of the contract out a little further.
Okay.
In this particular case, you know, we are locked into this price until next December, unless we go to the same supplier and do what's called a blend and extend, where you lower the rate a little bit because the market sold off, but you push the end date of the contract out a little bit. So you know, that's a typical thing of what municipal light companies do, and they get great, very advantageous rates doing that. You know, it's Shrewsbury, where I live, their rate is 7.9 cents all year long, and they do that because they're just always looking for that opportunity. And what they also can do, and you can do too in future years, is since they weren't fully hedged, they set the price of 7.9, but the market price over the summer is actually lower. And so they were paying the sort of spot market rate all summer long, but charging the customers 7.9, so they were over collecting. So now they have this kitty that they've built up by, you know, buying energy for say 6 cents and only charging less, you know, and charging just about 8. So they have like say 2 cents a kilowatt hour of money sitting there, and they're using that, even though they're exposed to the high prices this winter just like everybody else, they're using that to keep everyone's rates down. You know, so it's sort of, I mean, in a sense, it's like playing games, if you will, but it's all to the benefit of the consumer. And so they have a real, you know, an advocate in the managers there who are always looking for opportunities to keep rates reasonable for their end user. And you know, with a mature aggregation, that's something you can do too. And I know the city of Lowell is doing that now. They have a 3-year contract with their supplier, but the price was only fixed for the first year, and it has gray areas in year 2 and 3 where they can, you know, look for opportunities to buy when prices are low. And so their price is actually, you know, coming down as well. So, you know, that's something I think we'll introduce to the town, you know, in year 2 or year 3, you know, as the town gets more comfortable with it.
So now you're with us for the long haul, right? Or, I
Yes.
mean, you just don't kick this thing off and then say, here you go, you're
No,
you're on your own.
You're on your own. No, we have a consulting agreement with the town that lasts 3 years.
Okay.
And that was executed earlier this year. I want to say probably, I don't know, Eric, when did the committee make, it was in the spring, right?
It was.
Yeah, April or May.
April, I think it was.
So May of 15 to May of 18 were
Okay.
yours. You know, and at that time, the town can seek bids from, or, you know, business from other consultants like us. It can extend the contract with us. I mean, we're exempt from procurement requirements, so the town really can do pretty much what it wants. Yeah, so I mean, this is all we do, and you know, it's funny. We were talking to another town this morning. We were sort of interviewing for the job, and there are other companies. And I know Eric's been involved in the selection process, and you guys all saw that matrix that you did last winter. There are other companies that are not local, that are active in Massachusetts. There are other companies that do other things in addition to aggregation. And what I tell our clients is, all we do is aggregation in Massachusetts. That's it. You know, so
And you proved yourself.
yeah, and I think so far so good. I mean, we're really proud of what we were able to do for the town so far, and things have gone off without a hitch. And you know, you know, we're local guys, you know, so we're here, and you know, this is our reputation is on the line when we're advocating for you in the marketplace, and so we always wanna do a good job for you.
So when we think about year two, is it the same notification form that goes out for each cycle? So say for thinking of the residents that opt out first year
Yeah.
because they are not interested, and then will they have the same opportunity just to have that customer facing communication come out to them?
In year two, we can get the data from National Grid of people that are still on basic service, folks
Mhm.
that opted out, or people that just moved in. You know, I think there's a lot of churn, you know, people move in and out of town all the time, so, you know, if they're not on the list today, and they move in next month, they might not get the mailing for maybe 3 months or so, because National Grid doesn't just give it to us on demand, you know, they have a schedule that we have to adhere to.
Okay, so somebody moves in, you know, a new resident in town, they automatically go to Grid?
Yes,
Not to us?
not to us.
Okay.
You know, and that's, it's unfortunate, you know,
So
we
at that
wish
point,
that there would be.
They have to opt in.
Yeah, they'd have
in
to
that
find us
situation.
or wait while we, you know, scoop the data from National Grid once in a while and
Mhm.
send a mailing out. When rates change for participating customers, when rates change, this same letter does not go out, because this is specifically to opt out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other methods to announce new rates. It's similar to what National Grid does when it announces rates. It doesn't send a letter home. It puts an ad in the paper, or it takes, you know, it issues a press release, uses the town's social media accounts, things of that nature to get the word out. So this is really the only truly official piece of information on 8.5 by 11 that comes with this program. You know, we have done things in other communities where postcards get sent home if there was a particular announcement that needed to be made. But other than, you know, for the opt-out purpose, direct mail is still statutorily required. But I think, you know, we probably all agree direct mail is not, you know, it's kind of passé, right? So there's, you know, we're always trying to find other ways. The thing about direct mail is it's still, you can still count on it, you know, getting to the consumer in ways that other forms of marketing just, nobody's really cracked it open to figure out how to get to everybody all the time. And,
Right.
you know, whether it's TV or radio or
Email
newspapers,
or-
and emails, and you know, Facebook and all that
We've had
stuff.
a lot of them covered, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're speaking to next steps, you're thinking senior centers,
Yeah.
any other?
You know, that's why I'm all ears. If you guys, you know, every town is different, and you know, I need to get to know Auburn a little better to find out what's going to work best for Auburn. You know, I know senior centers are the, you know, that's the no-brainer. I'm like, yeah, I got to go there. You know, do you have other recommendations? Are there places where townspeople would go? You know, that might draw their,
Town
because you
meeting.
got to get them out of their
Town
home.
meeting tomorrow night.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, special.
A
town-
special. Oh.
Special town meeting tomorrow. I don't know if that would be worth a quick blurb in reports. Well, actually, they're not gonna have, they won't, will they? No.
I'm not sure if we can
It's not within 48
at
hours.
this late in the game.
Under reports?
Maybe if it's generic. I don't mind looking into it.
I
You
mean,
wouldn't
I
have to
don't-
come, obviously, but we could just
Could make some sort of
have
announcement.
an announcement.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, it's worth looking into.
Are there hot button issues on the special town meeting warrant that would, you know, at least draw a crowd?
I don't, no, I mean, we have representative town meeting anyway, you know,
Yeah.
so it's not like, you know, you have certain sections of town that are
Right.
gonna be there because there's an item up.
Right.
So it'll be the normal 81, 82 people, 83 people that, you know, we'll have to wait 10, 15 minutes for a quorum, and
Mm-hmm.
people will be out in the hall on their cell phones, get down here so we
Right,
can have a
right.
meeting. You know,
Get the warm bodies in there.
yeah.
You know, we don't have community center.
No, senior center is the only thing that we really have.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and then we have our, we have our, town, you know, the different meetings that are recorded or
Yeah.
or televised, I should say, not, well, they're recorded too, but, you know, your selectmen's meeting, this meeting is being, televised. I don't think there's,
Yeah.
It's hard.
no, so,
Yeah.
so I-
It's
Yeah,
a
it makes me
challenge.
think about it.
you know, unless we had, unless we taped some kind of question and answer thing and put it on a website as a
circulate,
link,
yeah.
you know, a
Yeah.
YouTube video type of thing
Yeah.
that we could link up or.
I've done a number of those.
Have you done?
Yeah, a lot of little, 15-minute taped segments that have either, gone on a website or gone on the local cable on sort of repeat.
Right,
Mhm.
It's live, maybe live initially, but it just gets repeated over
Yeah.
and over again for a
And
while.
that's
And
what they
again,
do
it's
with
a-
these
it's a
different-
short window. I mean, we're talking about, after early December goes by, it's old news. So it needs to be
Right.
only done really during, mid-November to late
Yeah.
November.
I was thinking about new residents in town and that sort of thing. If on the town end, we just made like a monthly reminder post on Facebook, hey, if you're new in town, we have this program.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can participate. And maybe if there was a 15 minutes, seems like a long video to
Yeah,
me,
it is.
we're like in the age of like 2-minute videos.
Right, YouTube videos are basically the
Yeah.
length of a pop song.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Think of a pop song, we'll put it right in there,
Yeah.
in that time frame. But if there was obviously it'd be helpful to talk about the opt-out portion, but even if it was in a more generic way, so that people who maybe are moving into town, if they just happen to catch it, they could be told and informed that they can opt in as well. It's a thought. Because aside from our hearings and meetings such as this, we don't really have many public forums,
I was wondering what type of mailings, what's, as a new homeowner, what's the first mailing you're gonna get?
Yeah, you get like that bunch from like Bed Bath and Beyond and,
Like
But I was just
newcomers welcome basket type of thing.
Yeah, it's just,
all coupons.
And I'm trying to think, when you do your change of address at the post office, they
Yeah.
usually give you a packet. I don't know if we have any flexibility in what
Right.
I
can,
didn't know if there was a little postcard or something.
That you could
for new
put in there.
homeowners.
That's a cool idea.
But who gets it and who, you know what I mean? What packet does it go into? Or
Yeah, and who
Huh.
does, I guess it is the post office, right, that,
they usually have the forms there, and then they seem to, I just
have
know,
a
last,
packet.
it was a while ago, but they had a packet that they handed
Oh,
you.
really?
There's a
I haven't changed
Home
address in a
Depot
long time, so-
coupon, those,
Right.
those type of just information about the town and.
Oh,
Maybe have some cards like at the town clerk, you can go to register, someone that's going to
Register to
register to
vote.
vote is probably
That's a
new
good
in,
idea.
in town unless they're,
Mhm.
just became of age.
and then on the main page of the homepage of the website too,
Yeah.
because somebody new to town that's somewhat electronically savvy, may say,
Right.
well, let's see what the town
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
And then have it right up on the front page, the homepage.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah.
certainly what I would do.
And there could be just a
Okay.
link under because we have our webpage and then we have just link, kind of like
Well,
hot
right.
links, right,
Yep.
at the bottom of the page. If we just had a generic,
Yeah, new homeowner type,
Yeah. New homers, they always want to know when's the trash picked up.
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
one.
Yeah.
Everything else- Yeah.
Recycling every other week.
I think you're right on the
Trash-
residence page
trash
too of
every
the,
week.
Yeah,
I don't know, that would be a good place for
yeah.
it.
You guys don't have page to throw,
Page to throw.
is that what
In
it is?
Shrewsbury they do.
They do that.
Yeah, it's like $2.50 a bag or something like that.
We got tools. We got charge.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's better off.
It does force you to pay attention to what you throw out.
It seems like a really good little list to start to work on
Yeah.
over the next couple of weeks, so. And, you know, we wanted you to come here too, Brian, just to kind of talk about how this committee here, obviously you coming here, having it taped and available for the residents can just support the effort. So, you know, we meet monthly, the fourth Monday of each month. So obviously we can, you know, be another venue to discuss it and, you know, be available for the residents.
So would that be the 23rd November?
I believe that would be the next month.
Funny, there's like 5, this is the 1 month where there's 5 Mondays in November.
It is, let's see, yes. Yep, on for the 23rd.
Here?
Correct, 5:30.
And by that time, all the mail will have gone out. I can give you at least some anecdotal evidence of what the response has been inbound to us.
Great.
You know, by then we may get some opt-out postcards back at that time. We will certainly have had, you know, a number of phone calls. And I can give you some idea of both the volume and the tenor of the calls, if you will.
Speaking of calls, Brian, we've had folks calling us at town hall. You know, obviously they're interested,
Yeah.
and is there an appropriate number at this point in time that we can direct people to you, or will there be a specific number that comes out with the card?
It should be on the letter already.
Okay.
Uh,
I do see it on the back.
Well, there's a couple numbers on there, but they're not ours. Oh, yeah, well, there is, near the bottom, where it says for more detailed information,
Mhm.
that toll-free number there in the second line is our office in Marlboro.
Okay.
And I know, at the Board of Selectmen's meeting earlier this month, the chair did ask, you know, me to say the number. He then repeated it, so I know it's in the minutes.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I guess I would ask your indulgence to tell whoever answers the phone at town hall, to have our number handy.
Sure.
You know, my business card is in there with the number on it.
Great.
So, you know, so if he or she is answering the phone going, wow, there's no place for me to transfer this to,
Yeah.
at least he or she can say,
Call
call
this number.
485-5858. And we have gotten some calls from Auburn residents already. Right after that meeting, I'd say probably a dozen calls came in after it was in the, what's the local publication, the one online?
Our Mass Daily?
Yes, thank you, and the selectmen's meeting. So I was like, oh, great. You know, it was nice to know people were
Yep, paying
were
attention.
watching and paying attention
Yeah.
and had some questions.
Actually, there's no good to it was on Mass Daily.
And the questions often were, you know, to your question earlier about having a supplier, these were folks that had a supplier and saw the town's rate and went, oh, you know.
That's better than
Yeah.
what I'm paying.
So they,
So they're figuring, is it worth me paying the penalty?
yeah, so they call and say, what do I gotta do? And I said, listen, you need to talk to your supplier, you know, you need to figure out if there's a penalty. If there's not, exit your deal with them before the town can pick you up, because we can't steal customers.
Right,
You know?
Mhm.
We could, but we won't.
I have one more question regarding the the commercial and industrial rates. Is this available to any business in town that's interested, or were there particular businesses that were included in that hedge?
All basic service customers are obviously
Were
entitled, yes. So they were included in the load snapshot that we gave the suppliers to bid on.
Mhm.
There's obviously most industrial and large commercial entities in the town have already made an affirmative choice and have some kind of deal going on right now. They, by regulation, are entitled to participate upon the expiration of that contract. Or if they want to break it and pay whatever fee there is, they can do that too. And then they can ask to join. Small commercial customers and residents are allowed in at the 9.522 cent rate.
Mhm.
But if a large industrial concern wants to join the town's program, that could exceed the hedge
Mm.
that the suppliers purchased.
Understood.
So under the contract, the supplier is allowed to offer that customer a market rate. Whatever, they can say, all right, you want to join? Well, let me check what's the market today. And say, oh, I'm sorry, it's 10 cents. Do you still want to participate? And so this rate, the 9.522, is not necessarily locked in for an industrial customer that's not on basic service right now.
Sure.
It'll just, they could put us over the top of what, the amount that was bought at that rate.
Exactly. And then the supplier would need to go purchase excess energy for them, and it may come if it comes at a higher price, they need to pass it on to the customer.
Right, the price wouldn't go to the residents.
Exactly.
Sorry, the increased price, just to be clear.
That's right.
Now that you come back to that, it says commercial and streetlight. Now,
Yeah.
the town owns a lot of its own streetlights. That would be included in this?
If they are getting,
The streetlights are not covered under Constellation, correct? Or are they?
We can't speak to the Constellation, but they are receiving net meter credits. I'm not sure if that is considered
The streetlights are?
I'm not sure if that's considered a private supply.
it's
If that
probably,
interferes.
with National Grid's basic streetlight rate. And I say this because in order to get net metering credits, the account, the streetlight account, or even a residential account, needs to be on consolidated billing. Needs to get one single bill that includes both delivery and the supplier's charge. Suppliers like Constellation that work with municipalities generally prefer a dual billing, where the utility, National Grid charges you for their stuff, Constellation charges you for their stuff
We
separately.
do have consolidated.
You do?
With Constellation.
Okay.
Comes in and it reads Constellation under our supply.
All right, in that case, then they could be the supplier of record for the streetlights as well. And if they already are, whatever rate you got for them.
Right.
I was just curious.
So, yeah, I'll have to look into
But
that.
if we're on the standard grid fee, we would,
Then those would be opted in.
Yes.
we would not.
So the town, the town can actually expect to get some opt-out letters itself.
Oh, okay.
If there's, in any given town, if there's, let's say, 100 accounts, the big ones, Constellation wants, the other deal, so wants to serve those. And they're like, oh, streetlights, I don't want to. So they leave those on basic service, so the town itself will be getting probably some opt-out letters.
So we'll have to make sure that Sue,
Yeah.
if that's the case, that Sue doesn't do something with
I should let Sue know
those letters,
that we
because she'll be the one,
may receive them.
she's the one that will be receiving the letters. She pays the electric bills.
Any other questions at this point?
You take the minutes as well?
And I do.
Very good.
Yeah. Wish I could type like that.
So, for the sake of the minutes, Brian.
Yes,
If
sir.
a customer or resident would like to reach your toll-free number.
Yes. Let's state it for the record. We are in Marlboro at 508-485-5858. You can also reach us toll-free at 866-485-5858. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming out, and we look forward to seeing you on the 23rd.
Absolutely.
And hearing what type of customer feedback you're getting, and then we have some other items there. Eric, you'll look into the town meeting tomorrow, and then we'll just I'm assuming you'll take probably our point on the updates to the website and all of those items, so.
That's great.
Great,
Okay.
thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Good night.
Good night, Brian.
All right, our next discussion item, Eric, we were going to have a representative from the town of Sutton come out to discuss their LED light program.
And she actually works for the town of Melbourne as well. And they are, I guess they have something time sensitive with their municipal aggregation RFP. They're doing an RFP process in Millbury. So tonight they're having a
She's needed elsewhere.
emergency meeting. She didn't see it coming. But Brian was there, yes, today, speaking with Milburn.
No. Good.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll just see,
so we'll
Maybe try the next meeting.
we'll postpone, that conversation. We can try for next meeting. Sounds like we'll have Brian coming back. And I'll ask the group this, our town liaison from National Grid came and presented information on, National Grid's electric bills, and how they're read, what each item means, basically what it is, and then he gave us info on they're going to be raising their rates for distribution. And so he gave us some background information on why that's happening. It was a very thorough presentation, but it was also really good. And he expressed interest in coming to present it in a public forum as well. If the group was interested in inviting him, we could extend that.
Sure.
I will say that it's a bit lengthy. I think it's like in the 45-minute range for a presentation.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So,
Eric, would he be able to comment on how the bills, any difference if there's a municipal aggregator on the bill? Do they go over that as well?
he does talk about the supply line.
Okay.
And where you can find the information if you have a private supplier.
So perhaps having Brian come and give an update, and then that would
I mean, this is-
complement itself very nicely at the next one, and see if Doreen's potentially available in December.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be a heavy meeting. If we want to keep this to an hour and a half. I have Doreen come as well.
Yeah.
Could be lengthy. So, whatever the group would advise, I could, correspond with those with, seems Kevin Shaughnessy and National Grid. Environmental.
I think that would be good for the residents to have, especially if there's some activity with Colonial Power, sending out the communications, give them an opportunity to understand what that's going to be, and then just a primer on the bill probably wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt anybody, so
Yeah.
I think that would make sense.
Great.
So if you can look into that, and then we'll see if we can get someone from Sutton out here in December, potentially, seeing where we are. If obviously there's a lot of activity in the municipal aggregation space and we need to repurpose the meeting for
Right.
that, we can do that, but tentatively
Absolutely.
look out for that, great.
And in a conversation with Sutton, it sounds like they're still working out the details, so by December, I'm guessing that their program will be in a better place. They should have even better information for us. So that could be a good move for that purpose as well.
Great. So we had one more discussion item on membership.
I reached out to both Bob and Dave. And Bob, from what I understand, has made a public announcement of his resignation, and then he spoke to you about it, Jack, that night. And so we're looking for a follow-up letter to the clerk, and that solidifies his resignation. So it might be appropriate to just send him a letter saying thank you for your time, and if you're able to submit that letter to the clerk, that we can pursue new membership. And it sounds like Dave, he expressed that he's interested in resigning as well. And so I advised him to do the same thing, submit the letter. And I don't believe the clerk has gotten it, so we could
Send similar letter to
dual
both.
purpose
Okay.
the letter.
So that's something I can take to draft that.
That said, we have, you know, by all intents and means, we have 2 open seats. So,
We have 2 or 3?
2,
Is
it
it
did clarify, it's a 5
5? Okay, okay.
five-member committee.
I know there was a little discussion at the last
There
meeting on how
was,
many there was.
yeah.
Okay.
And I,
Okay.
yeah, I covered that with Julie.
Because it went from 7 to 5, correct?
That's correct.
In August of 2014,
Mhm.
that's the paperwork that I had, and that is the date, so. Did you have an opportunity to speak with Julie about the potential open seats? Did she have any ideas?
She said that it's already advertised.
I mean, it's on, you know, on the town website, I mean, they have a continual listing of the open seats, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, I don't know how many people actually, you
How
know,
you get
go on
there.
it and look on it, although it's listed also on the, you know, on the cable TV,
Mm-hmm.
one of the stations, you know, amongst the things when they're not showing meetings, lists, you know, they have a list of a million committees with open
Mhm.
seats, but again, I don't know how many people would actually.
The only thing we can do is
Watch
keep
that.
our eyes and ears open, and anybody that may show any type of interest to say, well, hey, we got,
Yeah.
we got an opening.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times
I
word
have
of mouth
been-
works better than advertisement.
I have been doing that. I've had several folks come in who are interested in, you know, these types of topics. And one woman actually asked if there was, is there any way I can participate? You know, is there anything I could do? And I told her about the group, and she said she'd consider it, so. You know, it's always a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, just continue to put that word out there, so.
Yeah, and we could, it might be appropriate to announce on our Facebook, you know?
I think that would be great.
The newly renovated.
Energy committee.
Yeah.
How does that work, Eric? So once, the resignations go in and when we're just a committee of 3, for as far as for functioning for meetings, how does that work?
So 3 is our,
I think we still.
we need 3 positive votes for a majority.
We need 3 for a quorum.
3, right, in other-
Okay.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there may,
In other
maybe
words,
2
you
in.
need- if you only had 3 on the board, you need all, you need all 3, I mean.
For a vote.
For a vote?
So
Okay.
that kinda, I mean, a five-member board with 3 members really ties your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still considered a 5-member.
One contrarian, you're really in trouble.
So,
Mhm.
yeah,
So it's,
but as far as with the open vacancies, we can still function as
Yep.
long as we're
Yeah,
here.
3 is
and-
a, 3 is a
one of
board,
those
yeah.
cases.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't believe, if we didn't have a quorum, I don't believe we could have a meeting.
No.
Does that sound right?
I believe, that could be correct, I remember we had one once.
I don't know if we
There was
can-
only 2 of us, but we couldn't vote.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can't take any official
Can't take any
action,
official
You can't take
action.
official action.
but I
All
think
right.
you can still discuss things.
All right.
So, all right, well, so we'll post that on the website, we'll all continue with word of mouth. So those were our discussion
Who
items.
is it Amanda that does the Facebook?
Amanda does the Facebook.
So
And
she does the website as well.
she does. I typically run things by Julie just to say, is it cool if this goes on Facebook?
Oh, yeah,
You know, and then
absolutely.
Amanda will throw it up there.
All right, our next item, public comments. Obviously, we have no one here from the public, so no public comment tonight. Now, there was a letter from the Board of Selectmen about the municipal aggregation. I believe it went out to the committee, the email that Eric sent, so I'm not sure when you got a chance to review it.
Now, there's a letter of thanks on behalf of the Board of Selectmen for the committee's efforts in, you know, vetting the
Yeah, I saw it.
suppliers and in general, I've gotten just great when I run into people and and they hear, oh, I'm the energy manager, and then they wanna talk to me about energy. And people are really happy about this municipal aggregation program.
Great.
Yeah, and I keep hearing, you know, positive things. I think it's a really good thing for the town, and yeah.
Yeah, we have, where I live, they have this email chain that's going, it's neighbors of Packagug Hill or something to that effect, and they were questioning, you know, a lot about this. There was a lot of emails going back and forth, and, you know, I didn't wanna jump into it and put false information up
Yeah.
there, so I'll have to see if I can put something together, and especially now that things are going forward, so.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Great. Next item, so the minutes were distributed for the January 21st, March 9th, and September 28th meeting, the email Eric sent out. Were there, I didn't hear any feedback, were there any updates that were required, or additions?
On the 21st, Eric Westman's introduced Matt Benoit, new town manager. That should have been new town planner, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to let Julie know if there was a new town.
And this, on the next one, indicate it has Jeff Backus. It just should be Jack on the 12/114 minutes on the 3/9/15.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We should talk to who does the minutes, they
I
are
know.
slipping. So barring those two updates,
Yeah,
Okay.
everything else looks good.
we'll do those updates and then, so we'll do those updates and then send them out again for approval? Do we have-
Tonight, we can take
No, we can
a
just,
motion to approve with,
as amended,
yeah.
As amended, okay.
Yep.
so I'll make that motion. Approve the 3 minutes as amended.
And I can't second that.
And Jack gets the second.
We have a motion, is there a second?
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? All right, motion approved.
gotta be quick, all in favor, so opposed to vote. Because you're the only one that's gonna oppose.
No?
Well, no, that's not.
Right. In this group, if there's a motion and a second, it's looking pretty good.
Feeling feeling
Yeah,
confident.
But it
feeling
could be
confident.
seconded for discussion purposes, and then you could vote against it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
It's rare to
not-
see
not
that.
a-
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's not a done deal.
Mhm.
So the next item, our next regular meeting will be, as we said earlier, the fourth Monday of each month, so November 23rd at 5:30 here at the Auburn School Department, which is at 5 West Street in the school committee meeting room. And other than that, if there's any other items, do we want to discuss adjourning the meeting?
Move to adjourn?
Do you need to second it? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned at 6:29.